Hello there, gorgeous, and thanks for popping by in yet another in the series of how-tos, a series of indeterminate length, because I'm not really sure how many things I know how to, and when I get to the end I'll tell you, although I might do an extra one, how to think of things to tell people how to do when you don't know anything else, or how to flog a dead horse mainly. But anyway, this is a really quick one, and I want to talk, because this is something that comes up quite regularly, I would say, with clients, and it's how to say no. People often, it's kind of like the martyr syndrome that you often get with parents, more often than not, sorry ladies, but usually it is with mothers and being martyrs for the kids and putting the kids first when they shouldn't. You should be putting yourself first. The kids are a little bit behind, but you know, they're still important, admittedly, but not as important as you. Anyway, so how do you say no? People find themselves often saying yes on a regular basis when they actually haven't got the time or even don't want to say yes to whatever it is. Now, first of all, of course, sometimes we say yes to things that we don't particularly want to do because we want to help other people, or we don't want to let people down, or maybe it's a family obligation, or so on and so forth. So I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about the stuff you really, really, really don't want to do. The stuff that 2 or 3 days beforehand, when the event comes into play, you'll be kicking the cat or dog, don't want to be catist, and in a general foul mood and saying to yourself, why the hell did I agree to do this yet again? So this is a tricky one because it goes, you know, I don't want to get into the psychology of it because I'm not a psychologist, but with a lot of people it goes back to being a child and having the belief that you had to say yes to people if you're asked to do things. Anyway, forget that. I don't even know why I brought that up. So how do you say no? There is somebody in this world that you respect that's famous. I don't care who you are, there will be somebody. Now, it could be somebody like a movie star, it could be somebody like Oprah, for instance, it could even be a leader of your church, if you're a member of a church, it could be. There's a guy that's just been made president, Obama, it could be him, you might respect them. Now, how often, let's take President Obama as an example. How many invites do you think he gets on an average week to attend events? You know, maybe, I don't know, kiss a baby, open a store or whatever, something like that. I'm guessing it's more than 2 or 3. In fact, it probably runs into the hundreds. And how many of those do you think he says yes to? Well, I don't know, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000? I have no idea, I'm guessing. Even if it's 1 in 10, it doesn't matter, it gets the point over. The thing is, the more successful you are, excuse me, live cough. The more successful you are, the more likely you are to going to have to say no. And if you can't say no when you're, and I don't want to say unsuccessful because that's nonsense, but if you can't say no when the requests are thin on the ground, then you're going to find it even more difficult when they're coming thick and fast, and you're going to eventually overwhelm yourself. So think about the person that you aspire to. So it's going to be somebody you respect. Now, I used to work with a guy back in the UK, and I'm going to mention his name because it's unlikely you'll see this, but somebody called Sean Stevenson, who was my area manager at the time. Very busy, working for a big company, Yale Group, incredibly busy guy. Brutal with his time in terms of allocating time. Now, a lot of people say, well, if I don't do what people think, nobody will like me. Do you know, he was the best boss I ever worked for. I'm still in touch with him via email, even though the bastard doesn't watch my YouTube stuff. But anyway, so it's just nonsense. People will still respect you if you can put down borders, boundaries, and say, look, I would like to help you, but here's the reasons I can't. Or, do you know what, that sounds interesting for somebody else, but it's not the kind of thing that I'm doing. I would get involved in, and I wouldn't really be able to offer it my full dedication, my full concentration, because you know I've got so many other projects going on at the time. Now, like anything, when you're doing change like this, you have to work up to it slowly. I'm not saying go into your boss's office tomorrow and say, I'm not doing this project, I'm not doing that project, and I'm not washing your car. No, don't do that. Get his car washed now and get the inside done. So really, that's pretty it. It wasn't really an exciting one today. Not that I'm saying all the others are exciting, but you can say no. Model somebody that you respect. Understand that popular people say no, and people don't hate them for it. On Monday the 2nd of February at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, which is 9 o'clock in the UK, or I guess 1 o'clock on the west coast of the US. I'm going to be doing a Ustream, a live Ustream thing on coaching. Basically, I'm going to talk to the camera like I am doing now, but you'll be able to fire questions at me, should you want to fire questions at me. The first one's just going to be on life coaching. I'm going to look at things like hypnosis, NLP, goal setting, work-life balance, etc. as we go on. I'm going to do them every 2 weeks. I'd love for you to make it, if you can. The web address to log in I will put on the screen below here, and it is also, if I can't get that to work, it's on my blog. It's mentioned on the last 2 posts. The last one, which is coaching versus counselling, and the one before that, I can't remember what that was about now. It's 3 or 4 days ago. Come on. So thanks very much. Say no. Don't say no to me though. Get yourself to Ustream on Monday. Have a brilliant weekend if you watch this before the weekend. If you're watching it on Monday, I hope you had a brilliant weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.